Members of the Presidential Task Force say they do not collect monies to seek, and their duties is a selfless service to the nation as the team announces more measures in combating the deadly virus. And the medical team from China has arrived in Nigeria. They were received by the Minister of Health, Abike, and we get the details on their mission in Nigeria. Hello everyone and welcome to the program. This is Politics Today live on Channels Television. I'm Sean Kimalo in Lagos and we are staying on top of the situation as regarding the coronavirus. To bring you some of the latest information you need to know is the 1 hour stretch of the program tonight, the midweek edition, and we're monitoring some of the latest for you. The figure of the confirmed cases in Nigeria regarding the COVID-19 stands at 254 after 16 new cases of COVID-19 were announced. 10 in Lagos, 2 in the FCT, 2 in Oyo, 1 in Delta, and 1 in Katsina State. 44 have been discharged so far with 6 deaths. And the awaited help from China has finally come as a 15-man medical team from China arrived in Nigeria earlier this evening. Members of the medical team were received by the Minister of Health, Dr. Abike, at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, at about 4:30 p.m. The Chinese ambassador to Nigeria, Dr. Zhu Pingqian, told reporters that the medical team from China will be assisting Nigeria in containing the COVID-19. Dr. Pingqian explains that the doctors have expertise in infectious disease, respiratory illnesses, cardiology, and intensive care. The Minister of Health, Mr. Ehanire, explains that members of the team will be quarantined for 14 days before they are allowed to bring their expertise to bear. There are more efforts in combating this coronavirus, especially from the point of view of government's policies and what government officials are doing. We have some of them for you on our political roundup.
In Delta State, the governor Fayoko has confirmed that the index case of the coronavirus pandemic in the state is in stable condition and receiving treatment in one of the designated isolation centers. The governor says that the state has already prepared itself for a time like this, having established and equipped 4 COVID-19 isolation centers and at the same time trained its health personnel in its management. And the Edo State Governor, Mr. Godwin Obaseki, says the number of COVID-19 cases in Edo State stands at 11, with 1 death recorded, but the figure is likely to increase significantly in the coming weeks. The governor also says that many residents who had traveled overseas in the past weeks may not have isolated themselves, thereby endangering those without any travel history. He also stated that in view of the economic challenges caused by the COVID-19 pandemic, the government will provide palliative for the most vulnerable persons in the state. The Lagos State government has withdrawn its charge against the former governorship candidate of the ADP in Lagos State, Mr. Babatunde Gbadamosi, and his wife, Olashade, for flouting the COVID-19 stay-at-home order, and the controversial musician, Naira Marley. The state government agreed to withdraw the charge against the 3 defendants based on their remorse, but subsequent upon them fulfilling 3 conditions, one of which include writing a formal apology to the government of Lagos State, which will solidify the remorse shown by them. They were among the guests who attended a house party organized by Nollywood actress Funke Akindele and her husband. The Minister of State for Budget, Mr. Clem Agba, has cleared the air on the fire that gutted the Treasury House building in Abuja. The minister explains that the cause of the fire is yet to be ascertained, but it is suspected to be caused by an electrical fault. He adds that there is no significant loss in the fire as most of the documents are online.
In this about an hour or so, we shall be bringing you up to speed with what is happening in Nigeria, what government is doing, and what you need to know as of now, especially if you are obeying or at home, obeying the lockdown order. This is some of the information that we have for you, giving you some of the perspectives that you need to know. Don't forget that you can send pictures of how you're spending your lockdown period at home or how you're working from home. Let's get talking tonight and give you some updates that we have for you. So the Presidential Task Force on Coronavirus briefed today, but from their usual base in Abuja, and the federal government has cautioned Nigerians against giving false information on their travel history to health workers who are handling COVID-19 cases. This warning was given by the Minister of State for Health, Dr. Olorunimbe Mamora, at a briefing of the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 in Abuja. Dr. Mamora explained that the spike of cases in Osun State specifically is linked to travels in ECOWAS member states, while confirming that there are 9 laboratories in the country for testing. The minister adds that the federal government is accrediting private health facilities to test suspected cases and treat confirmed ones. Take a listen to the Minister of State.
I thank our health workers for their commitment, hard work, and sacrifice in the response to this pandemic that has drastically changed the pace and style of life. Through training, provision of guidelines, and personal protective equipment, we continue to enhance the understanding and capacity of our frontline workers for this novel disease. I urge all health workers to apply infection prevention and control protocols always and maintain a high index of suspicion for COVID-19. I want to strongly advise citizens against giving false information of symptoms or travel history to healthcare workers when seeking care at this critical time.
Meanwhile, there appears to be some conflict of decisions between the federal government and the Rivers State government. The Minister of Aviation, Hadi Sirika, has faulted the decision of the governor of Rivers State, Mr. Nyesom Wike, and says that aviation matters are on the exclusive list of the federal government, faulting the order of the governor of Rivers State that 2 pilots of Keverton helicopters should be arrested. The governor had accused Keverton helicopter of violating the lockdown order imposed to prevent the spread of coronavirus. After the arrest, the pilots were subsequently arraigned at a magistrate court and remanded in prison. Let's take a listen to what the minister had to say on this.
Civil aviation is on exclusive list. Item number 3 there. So no other person but the federal government has authority to legislate upon. So also the Nigeria Air Force, part of armed forces, is also on exclusive list. There is no other person but the federal government that has the legal right to legislate upon. So the Air Force officer who jumped the commander-in-chief and ignored, who also jumped the chief of defense staff and ignored, who jumped the chief of air staff and ignored, to call a governor to come into the property of the federal government belonging to Nigeria Air Force to make an arrest has exhibited dangerous ignorance and incompetence grossly. So the police that followed the governor also to go in there has also exhibited dangerous ignorance from our perspective in civil aviation. Whether we gave approval for the flight, yes, we did. And we did in national interest. All of those flights are for the purposes of improving the national revenue, to which Rivers State is the greatest beneficiary. So those flights by Keverton, by Aero Contractors, by Arik, by Bristol, and couple more were for national interest and improved national revenue. at a time when oil has gone below $30 and the cost of production is $30. In the wisdom of President Muhammadu Buhari, he thought that this be allowed, even in this national pandemic, so that the nation will not be crippled.
Well, one of the other issues spoke about today at the briefing is the sitting allowances of the members of the Presidential Task Force. The Minister of Information, Mr. Lai Mohammed, says they have not been receiving any monies for their sitting, and it is a selfless service to the nation. Take a listen to the minister.
I want to say loud and clear, no member of the committee receives a penny as sitting allowance. Everybody sacrifices his time, his energy, and even sometimes his resources.
We go into some deep issues tonight on the program. We'll be talking about palliatives for Nigerians in this period, especially those who are at home, and some other policies of government in this period. But first, let's take a look at the plight of Nigerians who are stranded abroad. The Nigerians in diaspora, and the Diaspora Commission has disclosed that many Nigerians in the United Kingdom, United States, China, and in West Africa countries have been registering with the Nigerian missions abroad for evacuation to Nigeria. The commission said many interested individuals were willing to return home on account of the coronavirus pandemic, noting that their response had been overwhelming. Let's find out from the head of that agency, the Diaspora Commission. Honorable Abike Dabiri joins us on the telephone to clarify some of these issues for us tonight. Thank you so much, Honorable Arawa, for joining us tonight on the program. A quick one, let's get some clarification. Is there any truth, or what information do you have specifically about the treatment some Nigerians have gotten in this period of the coronavirus pandemic in China specifically? There are allegations, and a lot of people sent some queries asking us to find out from government if Nigerians are truly being badly treated in China, and some of them who want to return home. Okay. I guess we lost connection with Honorable Arawa. She will rejoin. We will rejoin later on. But let's get to look at some other issues that we have for you tonight on the program, and it has to do with the issues of palliatives. The leadership of the National Assembly is asking the federal government to ensure equitable distribution of its interventions to cushion the effect of coronavirus across the country. The Senate President Ahmed Lawan is making this request at a meeting between the leadership of the National Assembly and the Minister of Finance, Zainab Ahmed, CBN Governor Godwin Emefiele, as well as heads of government agencies in the finance sector. The meeting is a follow-up to an earlier meeting last week as the federal government plans to adjust the 2020 budget to now include a $500 billion COVID-19 stimulus package. The Senate President says the interventions must have clear and measurable targets, assuring that the National Assembly will, through its oversight function, ensure that if passed, the $500 billion stimulus package is effectively utilized. Don't forget, yesterday, the leadership of the National Assembly is calling for an urgent review of the federal government's social investment program and observes that the program has not been able to identify the poorest Nigerians. My partner tonight on the program are ready to speak to us, but let's get some of the clarity that we're seeking from Honorable Abike Dabiri Erawa. I understand that we have her back on the phone. Thank you so much, Honorable Erawa, for joining us tonight. Give us a clarity. If you got my earlier question about some Nigerians who are worried that some of their relatives and their people have been badly treated in China, have you heard of any of such?
Well, no formal report was made to the ministry or the commission, but there are some videos going viral where, people now decide that you must bully through social media. That is not acceptable, and I don't think any one of us should be allowed to be bullied through social media. Now, here's the situation. Some people were kept in a hotel in China, regular 14 days quarantine, free of charge. After the 14 days quarantine, you're supposed to go to your homes. Now you have some of these people who decided not to go to anywhere but start walking on the streets and saying, China, what are you doing with us? So normally we should learn to be disciplined and obey laws. If those Nigerians have a problem, where do they go to? You left the hotel, you wanted to continue to stay in the hotel, and they said, no, go to the mission in Guangzhou. They never went to the mission in Guangzhou. There's a mission in Guangzhou. We have a very functional Nigerian diaspora organization, very efficient, very proactive. They didn't report to them. Now you went on the street and recorded yourselves. Now some people, rather than ask questions, just started saying blackmailing. That is blackmail. Now those Nigerians, the federal government has said you can come back home. Go to the mission, register, put on your corona test, and then with the numbers compiled, you will be brought back home. Don't calculating videos. You don't know where those videos were recorded. So I don't give in to social media bullying. No report has come to the commission, but I'm telling you, from the mission there's a mission in Guangzhou. Let them go there, register their names, show their documents and all that, and register properly. And then the Nigerian mission in Guangzhou will liaise with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and bring them back. Names are already being compiled. They're on the street. Are they supposed to be on the streets walking around in China? No. You're not supposed to be moving about in groups. You're supposed to be in your homes. They are walking around. If they have homes, go there. If they don't have homes, go to the mission. Register, bring your documentation, and the mission will arrange for you to come back home. So please, I want to stress that all that social media bullying should not be tolerated, should not be accepted. Let's do things properly. Let's be disciplined. Let's follow processes. Let's not blackmailing government.
For us here at Channels Television, social media trends are not what we follow. We follow the real stories. We woke up this morning of some people sending queries to say these people, some of them are their family members, and some of the claims that they're sending is some of the issues that we're trying to bring to the fore tonight. Thank you so much for clearing the air, and perhaps this information for some of them who are lost as to what to do will probably have an idea of what to do. Let's get to it now, Honorable Abike. Give us a sense of just how many Nigerians are waiting to be evacuated from abroad.
Well, quite a lot, but the highest numbers coming from the USA and the UK, and the numbers are still rolling in. We have them from the UAE, from Jamaica, from El Salvador, Grenada, Brazil, Canada, and of course West Africa here, and some other parts of the world. But here is what they have to do. Names have been collated from the various missions, will be forwarded to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and then decisions will be taken as to the number of passengers and all that. And of course, there are two rules that the NCDC protocol, according to the NCDC protocol, needs to be abided by. One is to do their test over there, and then when they come back, you need to go on 14-day isolation. And when they ask why this should be so, according to NCDC, you don't know what could happen in the air. You don't know what could have happened before you got back. So they will be tested on arrival. Some may leave earlier. That will be left to NCDC, but that is the protocol from NCDC as of today. And their names are being compiled. The ministry will compile everything and then move forward with the process of those who are able to come.
Okay, Honorable Abike, if you quickly can give us a sense of you don't look like you have the exact number. A lot of Nigerians want to have an idea of just how many. Are they up to 500? Are they up to 200? So far, they registered. How many are they?
Well over 1,000.
Well over 1,000.
But like I said, we break it down. The highest numbers from the UK, almost about 300. Same thing from the USA, so it's quite high in those places. From the UAE, there are quite a number of people that were stranded. But you see, most of these people actually went for vacation, for medicals, for courses, for studies. So they are not Nigerians living abroad, but they are Nigerians who traveled abroad, got caught up in the pandemic.
What about the challenge of the profiling of some of these citizens abroad? How are you getting by quickly, if you can give us an understanding?
What do you mean profiling? Of those who want to come?
Exactly, those who want to come. How do you get to profile them, the issues of data?
Yeah, most of on the Commission's website, we opened a special link for them to fill. these links, all the information we have, we send to our various missions affected. Then the missions to UK, USA, all have forms that ask them to fill. So every information is there: your name, your email, your passport number, your status, everything has been collected. So they go online, fill these forms, and then we respond them. Some said to me today, we haven't received any response, but we still reply them. So, and we're communicating with them. So it might take a little while for the process to be through, but everything will be sent to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and the Minister of Foreign Affairs will take a final decision on when they will come back.
Honorable Abike, you will stay with us for a moment, but we'll go on a break. But when we come back, we'll talk. I have about 2 or so questions to ask you before we go into our major topic. But before we go into that break, when will the first batch of Nigerians who have started be returned home or be evacuated home?
The first branch will be coming from the West African region. They've been there for 14 days. They've been on isolation. They've done their test. So very soon, first batch from Togo, Ghana will be coming in. So that's on the West African region. Like I said, depending on the minister who has the final say on this thing, we'll tell you about the next batch.
Stay with us. We have 2 more questions for you. Honorable Abike Dabiri is the head of the Nigeria Diaspora Commission, and she will be giving us insight on some of these issues. But we'll take a break, and when we return, we shall dive into some of the major issues that we're discussing tonight. My panel, Honorable Tajuddin Yusuf in Abuja studio, and Senator Ibrahim Olori-Egbe, both of them National Assembly members. That's after the break, everyone. Join us. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us. We've been talking to Honorable Abike Dabiri. She's the head of the Nigeria Diaspora Commission. Thank you so much, Honorable Erawa, for talking to us tonight. Just a brief moment with you before we go into other discussions tonight. Give us a sense of how many countries you're visiting in this process.
No, as I told you earlier, there have been applications from the USA, UK, UAE, Jamaica, Grenada, Brazil, Canada, and some West African states. And there are a lot more. But information is being compiled by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. In some places, there are maybe 3, like in Grenada, there are 3 Nigerians there. So it depends on when all this compilation is done and the kind of arrangements can make with the airlines. But like I said, this compilation is going on, but the bulk stops on the table of the Minister of Foreign Affairs as to when they will be back. But then the rules must be followed. Do your test, be corona-free, then you can board, and then when you come back, you need to go on 14-day compulsory isolation, according to the protocol.
So you said for the West African countries, for Nigerians who are there, that they will be evacuated as soon as possible. How soon is this? You said they are the ones that will be brought home in the soonest time possible. How soon is it? Is it this weekend or early next week?
I think this week. Arrangements are for this week. And that one is easier because, number one, they've done their test. They've been isolated there for 14 days, so they have their test. Like those in Togo, I don't know about the number, less than 30 stranded in Togo for a while. They were kept in a place. They did their test yesterday, so they are arranging to come in. Now, when they do come in, if they're coming in through, I don't know what they're coming in through Benin, there will be a place where they will stay for 14 days before coming into town. So from the West African region, yes, that will be likely first area of return back to the country.
So it does look like Nigeria may not be putting any resource in terms of monetary resources into the evacuation, because your office did state that they will bear the cost of getting them back home.
Yes, I mean, every other country that has been evacuating, the passengers have been paying, but the negotiations by the nations and the ministry, they're able to get reasonable airfare tickets. These are not normal times. Negotiations, there will be negotiations with the airlines. That will be done by the ministry. So all that is ongoing, but the ministry will ensure that, I mean, it's reasonable. It's reasonable, and it will be reasonable. Canada charged $6,000. UK will be charging. Same thing with America, charged a lot. So it's, I'm sure they understand that will be done. What they're worried about is coming back and being in isolation. They want to know whether they can go to their homes, and it's left to NCDC really, because according to what we have heard, some came back, and if you will tell their history, some came back and promised to go on self-isolation, but did not. So those mistakes cannot afford to be made by the NCDC. So those are the rules, basically. I don't think it's more about the ticket. Now, there are some that may have problems with their tickets. When the names are collated, those that need help will be helped. Those that are in dire need of help, there will be a way out for them. But basically, those are the rules.
All right, I just have a few seconds of airtime to spend on this conversation, Honorable Abike Dabiri, and a lot of people who are asking also, who are curious, if you could spend those few seconds with us, Honorable Abike, on giving clarity on, or clear the air, why some nations evacuated their citizens where you have a lot of deaths in the coronavirus treatment, and yet Nigeria, we have only 6. And a lot of people are wondering, isn't this a safer haven for them?
You mean for them to come back home or to leave?
No, a lot of them who were evacuated last week from Nigeria.
Yeah. In fact, somebody called me, got to the States and said, well, I wish we had stayed back. I wish we had stayed back. But I can't go into all that. But what we're saying is that what the situation here is, the presidential task force is doing a great job. Lagos and Abuja, everybody, they're doing a great job. So we should not make it worse. We should only make it better. And that's why we're appealing to Nigerians coming home to follow the rules, abide by the rules so that we protect all of us as Nigerians, generally speaking.
Honorable Abike Dabiri Erawa, the Chairman of the Diaspora Commission, thank you so much for your time tonight and giving insight in some of these issues, especially for those our brothers and sisters who are stranded in some parts of the world. Thank you so much for coming on tonight.